My junior year, my sophomore year really, I came into my band director's office, Greg Thomas, and I told him about the opportunity that my dad presented me with joining this band. And he wasn't really very up to it because, losing a drummer, I think, is pretty detrimental to the program that they had. And I liked Albemarle's band a lot, but when my dad gave me the opportunity, I was kind of leaning towards that and doing that. And then I just decided that this is the right thing to do, and I went to pre-camp for the drumline, and the rest is history. The year before I actually joined, I was thinking about doing my high school band along with the C&B and playing cymbals, but it was too much of a time commitment because I would go from 4 to 6 for my high school band and then 6 to 8 with C&B. So I did a few rehearsals, but I just couldn't keep it up. And that was really the first time that I performed with them. I did the CBC camp 2 years before I joined the marching band. My first memory though was at pre-camp, my first year, and going in there. And I was trying out tri-toms, and then they put me on bass drum, which I love bass drum because I played bass drum the year before at my high school. And so I felt more accustomed to it. And I just went in there. Nobody really knew who I was at all, except for the instructor, Alan, at the time. So I went that whole rehearsal without anybody really knowing who I was. And then at the end, we went around, a circle and told everybody, who we were. And I told everybody, oh, my dad's, Mr. Pease. And they were like, wait, what? What? And it was just such a surprise. And it never really came into a factor because they just treated me like their own from day one. But it was nice to see that surprise because a lot of people sometimes don't know who I am, which is fine. It was nice seeing that. My second year, when I was a senior in high school, I went in there and I was the only returning bass drummer that was on the line that year. And I don't really know what I was expecting. I felt like I was a little bit too young for a section leader position. And I didn't really understand that at the time. So when they announced who was the section leader, they announced the first year over, someone that returned. But yeah, so at the time I was pretty pissed off. But when I look back on it, I don't think I was ready for that kind of experience. Because I would be leading people that were a year older than me, at least, A lot of people don't know I actually went to community college for a few years. When I tell people that, they're like, oh really? You haven't been here since your first year? And I was like, no, I just, hung around a lot. That's why it looked like, I guess, I've been here. I know a couple drummers in the past have done the transfer thing, but I know it's only been a few. It was a little difficult, but it was definitely worth it. I felt like at my maturity level wasn't high enough to go to UVA yet, so I feel like going to Piedmont for 3 years really made me grow, and I understand what I have to do, to get stuff done. And I feel like if I went here right outside of high school, I wouldn't be ready. It's really a drive for me because I've done it for so long, so I know kind of when to work on my schoolwork and when to practice for band, I guess. In high school, it gave me a very good standard of what to live for, watching the UVA students and seeing what they do. In high school, when I was in the band, I didn't really hang out with them very much socially, but when I came here, I hung out with them a lot more socially. But yeah, it's kind of like a timekeeper. I feel like I do a lot better actually in my classes in the fall than I do in the spring because I have so much more free time, It's nice to have something that you have to keep you, driven and keep you going. My favorite experiences mostly are at band camp. That's my favorite time of band. I don't know, we just bond so much that it's awesome. So much stuff happens. I don't really have a particular favorite memory. My favorite halftime show would probably be 2 years ago when we played Robin Hood and Batman. Oh man, that just gets me going. Whenever I listen to those on the CD that we just got last year, it just gets me in the mood, you know. I'm just like, oh god, I love that show so much. There's like a couple of shows, like British Invasion show. What was it? That was 2009, 2010 or something. That was a good show with like Uprising and the Beatles medley. My first year in 2007, we did a little Blue Devils thing, which was a lot of fun. That was cool. The year after that, I was actually out of the show because I had my appendix out, so I had to miss that game. And it was Sing Sing Sing, and I'm kind of happy that I missed that show because it was so difficult. And I remember trying to memorize that show, and it just like was not working. So that happened, and then the year after, did like a little block thing with a lot of visuals. That was cool. And then nothing's really stuck out after that. Like, I love the drumline shows, they're awesome, but nothing can really beat like, you know, us being in a block and playing something, doing a bunch of visuals and looking cool. Last year was okay when it was the orange and blue side. It was a little weird because it's very awkward having like half of the line on one side, half of the line on the other, and we're kind of battling, then we join. It was a cool idea, and I think we performed it pretty well, but it doesn't beat us like us just being in that block or playing, you know, something cool. The one that tops everything though was the Chick-fil-A Bowl drumline show. That was really cool. Doing the planking on the bass drums, that was so much fun. Oh man, we practiced that so much, and it just looked so good. So yeah, nice. It was definitely worth all the practice. Favorite drill set though would have to be 2 years ago when we did the video game thing, and we had Mario, and he was like running on the little was it conveyor belt. That was cool. I think that was probably the best one. Beating Maryland is probably one of my favorite football memories. Just going there, we went there like 2 times, like one my first year and then one my third year, where we just like killed them. And I love going to different stadiums and just beating the crap out of, you know, the other team. And then like the band's so good that we're better than a lot of other bands that we go to. So when we go to Maryland or UNC, we usually blow out their band, which is the best part, you know. I love when my dad tells me that he gets emails from alumni or someone that is affiliated with that university, and it's like, we don't really appreciate you coming into our stadium and playing, you know, as loud as you did. And he's just like, I don't care. There's a couple games where, you know, we just blew them out at home, like Miami a few years ago. Watching the Florida State game last year, was it last year? When we went there and we beat them by 1, and we thought the game ended like 3 times and it didn't. That was pretty cool. My dad, you know, it's my dad. But Cook and Idzier, they're like my uncles. Like, I went to them so many times, and they helped me out of like a jam or something, and I hung out with them a lot. Like, I went to lunches with my dad, Idzier, and Cook my first 3 years at college, like almost like 2 times a week maybe, and I enjoyed that a lot. You know, it was a lot of fun. They're so funny to watch, all 3 of them, and you know, Costin is a nice little addition. He's funny. I like him a lot. But you know, they're like older brothers to uncles to me. You know, Mr. Cook and Mr. Idzier and Mr. Costin. It definitely gave me a broader range of a social life. Like, most of my friends now are in the band or in the drum line. It's really like a second family to me. I feel like I can get close with these people, you know, because we're going through the same thing. I like it a lot. The social aspect outweighs everything else. If I'm having a crappy day, but I'm with my friends, you know, it's not really that crappy. The CMB's changed A lot. I feel like the feel of the band is the same, but a lot of the protocol is different. I remember my first year, we were at Newcomb. You know, we went to Newcomb, we got dressed in Newcomb, ate, and then we like performed and then got on the buses. You know, and then a few years later we were at O Hill for a while, and then we have, you know, this wonderful building now to house us. I feel like the CMB hasn't really changed very much. I guess playing ability has kind of gone up, but it's really hard to compare year to year how they've changed, because like the people graduating set such a like a feel, you know, of it, that like the feel just keeps on. I guess it evolves a little bit, but like the same feel kind of stays. Like the drumline hasn't changed very much since my first year. We're still a bunch of jokesters that like, you know, are lazy, but you know, we get stuff done when we need to.